The Gemara in Sanhedrin brings down Tzadivav Amar Aleph that Yirmiyahu Hanavi had a complaint against Hashem. So the pasuk says like this: Tzaddik ata Hashem. Yirmiyahu says that Hashem, you are tzaddik, you're righteous. Ki ariv alecha, but I will bring my argument against you. Ach mishpatim adaber, I'm going to speak, strong words. Madu derech risha'at tzlecha. He says, why are the Risha'im so successful? Shalu kol bogdei bagid. He says that the betrayers, the sinners are all sitting in peacefully. Nitatem v'gam shurshu. You planted them and they took root. Yelchu gamasu. They pri. He says that they went and they were very successful. So Yirmiyahu was bothered by why Nebuchadnezzar, the one that destroyed the first temple, why was he so successful? Why was he successful? So the Gemara says, so what did Hashem answer Yirmiyahu? So the pasuk says something cryptic. Ket raglim ratzatta v'yalucha. So he says that if you competed, if you ran with the ones who like a foot race, if you ran with somebody who's on his feet, v'yalucha, and they made you tired, right? You weren't able to keep up. Ve'ech titchare et susim. How can you compete with horses? Uve'eretz shalom ata botech. If in a land of where you live in security, right, that you were trying to be poisoned, that's what the pasuk says, right? Ve'ech ta'aseh begaon hayarden. How are you going to do across the Yarden? So Hashem was saying, what is this answer? What is this cryptic answer? So he says, Mashal la'adam echad. So the Gemara continues and it says that there's a story, like a parable about a person. Shamar yachol ani rarutz gimel parsaot lifnei hasusim ben bitzei hamayim. This is a person, he says that I could run 3 parsaot, a very long distance, in front of competing with horses in the marsh. Right? It's a long distance, you're racing against horses, and it's in the marsh, where it's like muddy, very difficult to run. And I'll still win. He says, he says, I'll win. Nizdamin lo ragli echad, one person on his feet, not horses, right? He says, one person, ragli echad, ratz lifanav gimel milim. He ran not even half the distance, 3 milim, right? Bayabasha, on dry land, vinil'eh, and he got tired. That means that he was praising himself that I can run against horses in the marsh for 3 parsaot and I will win. And then he had a real race before his talk. And he said, and he ran against one person on foot, on dry land, for only 3 mil. And he got tired. Right? So what Hashem was saying, over here the Gemara explains what the... So he says, here, skipping a little bit. Afata. So Hashem was saying to Yirmiyahu, Uma bischar arba'a pisiyot shishalamti loto rasha. He says that if for the schar of 4 steps that I have paid back this rasha, Nebuchadnezzar, because of the kavod, that he ran for my kavod. Ata timiya, you are all in wonder. How is it possible, such a success? Shani mishalem sachar Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. So then, when I'm going to pay back the sachar for Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, shiratzu lifnai kisusim, they were running in front of me like horses. Can you imagine the sachar? So Hashem says, Yirmiyahu, he says, don't be so in wonderment. This is the reward for 4 steps that Nebuchadnezzar took for me. Just 4 steps. The avot were running in front of me from my kavod like horses. Can you imagine the reward? That's what the Hashem said to Yirmiyahu. And then the Gemara explains, what were these 4 steps? Some say 3 steps. What were these steps? So the Gemara continues, and it says that there was a time when Hiskiyahu HaMelech was sick. Right, he got sick. Everybody knows the famous Gemara in Brachot. Right, he was sick because he didn't want to get married, and he got sick. Yeshayahu now came to him, and he said that's it. You're sentenced to die because you decided not to have kids, not to get married. And there's a whole story, right? And then he decided to get married. There was 15 years was added to him. In the same time, right? That's when Sancheriv attacked Hiskiyahu, and then Hashem made a miracle for him. And then it says that Hiskiyahu davened, and he got healed. The pasuk says, "Be'etahi," at that time, Shalach Mirodach Beladan ben Beladan Melech Bavel Sfarim. The Babylonian king sent letters to Hiskiyahu because Hiskiyahu was sick. So the Gemara asks a question: what's the connection between the letters and Hiskiyahu Melech getting sick? So he says. So the Gemara explains that Hiskiyahu Melech's father was a Rasha, and Achaz. He was right. So when Achaz died, Hashem made 10 hours go by faster. He set the sun faster as an atonement. So they shouldn't be maspid. They shouldn't eulogize him this is the source. One of the sources that if a person is not maspid, it's a kapara for him. It's a kapara, meaning that if they don't eulogize him properly. So this is what Hashem made the sun set faster, so they'll bury him or not eulogize him properly. So anyway, so when Hiskiyahu Melech got sick, Hashem said that I'm going to make the sun like go to the west, right, and then go back 10 hours. It would settle and then go back, reverse, right? So then when that happened, went forward and then went back, right, to getting those 10 hours extra, right? Everybody was amazed. So this Babylonian king was somebody. Well, what's happening over here? So his servants told him that there's a king, Hiskiyahu Melech, and he had this miracle done for him because he got sick and he got healed. I don't know how they knew, but they knew. So he was so impressed, he sent a letter. Right? He sent a letter. So it says over here that when they sent the letter, Nebuchadnezzar, he was the scribe in the court. He was the scribe. He used to edit the letters. That means that wherever a scribe would write it, he would have to check it first, how it's written. That day, when they wanted to send the letters, he wasn't there. He's not there. So he says that when they sent the letter, he comes back and he says, well, how did you write it? So the Gemara says that the way they wrote it was, let me just find it. Amalu Hakikat, this is what we wrote. Amalahu Kritule, one second. He said, here, they wrote it like this. Shlama lemalka Cheskia. Greetings to the king Cheskia. Shlam lekartad Yerushalayim. Peace to the city of Yerushalayim. Shlam and peace to le'elaha Rabbah. To the great God. Right, so first they mentioned Hiskiyahu, then they mentioned Yerushalayim, and then the great God. So when Nebuchadnezzar came, so he said to him, how did you write it? So he says, this is how he wrote it. So he said, you call him the great God and you write him last? He says, no, you're supposed to write it, greetings to the great God, then to Yerushalayim, then Hiskiyahu. That's how to write it. So the king told him, okay, very good. Since you corrected it, you go and catch the messenger. Go quickly and get the messenger. So he says that he went and he took 3 steps or 4 steps, right, to catch the messenger for the kavod of Hashem. So Hashem said that, and then the Malach Gabriel stopped him, because had he not stopped Nebuchadnezzar, there would be nothing left of the Jews. That would be the reward for the kavod that he showed to Hashem. So this is the great reward that Nebuchadnezzar had for these 4 steps, so that he was able to conquer. He was so successful that the Gemara says that it's in Daniel. He quotes it. The Rashi quotes it that if you would say to a horse, "Stop braying," let's say the horse was making sounds, he would say, "Stop." The horse would stop. That's how successful he was. The Gemara says that he was riding on a lion with a snake as a reins. Extremely, extremely successful. And he was a wicked, wicked man. And this was the reward. So I wanted a little bit to speak about this inyan, of the concept of giving kavod to Hashem. And look at the great reward that we have. There's a story that is brought down in the Shomer Emunim. He brings down that there was a great a great man, a Talmid Chacham. He was the Rishon LeZion in the 1600s in Eretz Yisrael. He was like the chief Rishon LeZion. His name was Rav Moshe Galanti, and he was a tzaddik and a chassid, tremendously wise. He was appointed. He was a chacham. He was very well known. There was nobody like him in the generation, except a goy Yishmael. There was a Ishmael, Nachurin Ishmael. One of them, he was a chacham in all 7 chokhmot, 7 wisdoms. I don't know what these wisdoms are, but this Ishmaeli was wise in these 7 chokhmot. That besides this Nochri had something greater than Rav Moshe Galanti, this huge Talmid Chacham, Goy. So that what? Anybody who was sick, he would go to him, to this sheikh, and the sheikh would daven for pray for this chole half an hour, right? And he would be able to say he will live or he will die. It was like a known thing. He would get it exact, right on the money. So he says, it was like Lahavdil, he says over here, like Rav Chanina ben Dosa. Rav Chanina ben Dosa was able to tell. The Gemara says that if he would daven and the words will just flow out of his mouth, it's a good sign. If somehow he would get stuck in the words, then it's a sign that the tefillah was ripped up, it's not accepted. So this sheikh was able to do that. He doesn't understand. How's that possible? How is it possible that this goy should be more holy than I am? That they actually reveal who's going to live and who's going to die. I'm Oved Hashem. I'm busy with the Torah and Hashem, with the mitzvot. Why am I not like the sheikh? So Rav Moshe Galanti was very upset. How is it possible? He wanted to figure out a way to go to the sheikh to find out, and maybe somehow I'll find out what the secret is. How does he be able to do this? So the Rav called one of the leaders of the city, and he told them that I want you to go to the sheikh and tell him that the Jewish leader heard of your reputation, and that his ratzon, his will is to come to you and to greet you if you will give him permission. Ki ha'ish ahu haya gadol me'al kol hasarim. Because this sheikh, everybody would turn to him. Everybody send their letters, they would go and, right? They would like serve him and worship him in a certain sense to get his bracha. And he would not leave the palace at all, this sheikh. So anyway, the leader of the city went to the sheikh and he spoke to him the words of the Rav Moshe Galanti, and he said to the sheikh, so the sheikh told him, actually, I also heard of Rav Moshe Galanti. I would love to meet him. I want to meet him. I heard so much about him. I heard how wise he is. I want to see him. So go to him, and he says, do not delay. Have him right. So right away, the leader went to Rav Moshe Galanti. He told him what the words of the sheikh is. And he goes there. When the sheikh saw the Pnei Harav, he was very impressed. He accepted him with a lot of kavod, with a smile. And he asked him, he greeted him, and then he asked him, the sheikh asked the Rav Moshe, he says, Vayom ani shamati, I heard about you that you're a great wise man. Do you have this chokhmah? You're knowledgeable in this wisdom? So he said that, Hashem gave me a little bit of wisdom in this area, yeah. So he started to test him. And he's talking to him, and he's very, very impressed. Meaning he's overflowing with this wisdom. The sheikh thought until now that, only I'm like this. Turns out that no, there's another person like me. He was very impressed. And then he says, Kasher Moshe, so when he saw how smart Rav Moshe Galanti was, he got attached to him. So he says that I'm like very impressed with you. I want to keep this interaction. I want you to come back in a week. I want to continue this. So Rav Moshe was very happy. Okay. So he sent it back with a lot of kavod. After 2 days, he couldn't hold himself. The sheikh wanted to speak with Rav Moshe. So he sends a message, I want you to come now. It's too long this week. I want to speak right now. So he sent 2 messengers with a horse to bring him over there. So the Rav came to the sheikh, and again he received him with a lot of kavod. He hugged him and he kissed him, and he said to him, so he says that I was very attached. I couldn't hold myself. I sent after you so we can speak again in wisdom. And he asked him about a second wisdom. Are you knowledgeable in this wisdom? So he said, yeah, I'm a little bit knowledgeable also in the second wisdom also. So he started speaking to him again. And he says that he saw him and he was very, very happy. So he says, I want you to come every single 2 days. Every 2 days I want you to come and we speak, we learn, we'll share. So he said to him, there was one thing that the sheikh wanted to know. So he asked Rav Moshe, I want you to teach it to me. In the action, he found out. He asked him, do you have this? Something is holding me back. I can't I can't go up in the wisdom. There's something stuck. Do you know this wisdom? So he says, I do, but it's not going to be free. I want something. So he says, like, you're so smart, you're so wise. I need to learn from you. What do I have more than you? So he said to him that I heard. So he says that, so I heard about you that you are able to know, people who are going to live, who are going to die. You daven, you pray for them, you find out. I want to know what's the secret. So he says like, no, that I can't reveal. So he says, okay, fine. So I can't reveal that wisdom that you need. No, that's not. I swore I can never reveal it. This is from my, father's fathers. I can't reveal it. This is not something small. So he says, okay, I also swore I can't teach it. So he said. So he said to him, even if you did make a shvuah, even if you did swear that you're not going to reveal it, it's not considered that you are, violating this shvuah, this oath, because you're trading it not for money or gold. You're trading it for wisdom. So it's okay. I think it's okay. The same way I'm able to teach you, you're able to teach me. So he said to him, even so, let's say that's true, because I think it's going to be too much for you to do. It's not just a simple, I'll tell you this here. You have to go, it's a whole process. It's not simple. She's like, I'm ready to do everything. Just tell me what it is. So he said to him, so he says, okay, if you're ready to do it, I'll tell you what to do. Shama bikuli, listen to me, whatever exactly what to do, what I command you. Go to your house and prepare yourself for bayom hazeh le'et erev lekabel, meaning prepare yourself this afternoon to accept upon yourself 2 days of fasting. 2 whole days of fasting. Be careful what you eat, stay away from the wine, stay away from the meat. After the Suda, that means after 2 days, that means, right? Meaning this Suda, that means that even now, this Suda, you should not have meat, right? And wine, none of that, right? And then fast for 2 days and come back to me after that. Then prepare yourself, go to the mikvah, put yourself nice clothing. After 2 days, right? Go to the mikvah in the morning, in the erev, search out your ways, because you might have some certain avirot. The sheikh is telling him all this. It's very strange, right? So when the Rav heard this, he was inspired, but at the same time, when he left, he was very sad. He was very distraught. So he says, because so he said, Belev nishbar, he was like broken. So he did everything, but he added a 3rd day of fasting. Didn't want to take a chance, Okay, fine. So he says, in the morning he finishes tefillah, he goes to the sheikh, so the sheikh saw him, and he saw that he's coming very weak, the Rav is very weak, and he was trembling when he met him. So he said that from the face, the way you look, I see that you did exactly what I told you to do. Now to come with me and I'll tell you the secret. Vayelach acharav harav. So the Rav went into the cheder, into the room, and there was a cheder. There was a shemafter. Cheder hazeh lo nimsar. That the key to this door is not given to anybody except he's holding it specifically. He opens this petach. He opens this entrance. They both go in, and they close the door. Nobody else can come in. They come out from that room into an orchard, a beautiful orchard, and in the middle there's a garden, and there's a water over there. And then he continues on. They change into a white clothing, and the Rav, one for him, one for right. They go to the mikvah again. Okay, so then he continues on, and he says, "V'yisa Rav." So the Rav comes, and he said, "See this beautiful house, right, with silver." And then when he get closer to the house, to the door of the house, the sheik is already getting very trembling. So they open it and they see this another beautiful a building or some type of entrance. And then on the roof there's a parochet, it's like an embroidered, like a beautiful with all different stones. And she comes into the house like trembling, and he's bowing down. Now that he sees the sheik is bowing down, now he's worried. Maybe it's some of the Avodah Zarah. And the sheik is telling you gotta bow down. So he's all worried, so he's mechaven that I'm only bowing down to Hashem, because he doesn't know what's behind it, right? So he says, so therefore he closed his eyes and he said, Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid, right? So he bowed down just like the sheik did. He was very scared. Rav Moshe was very scared. Come to the heichal and open it, and then you will see what's behind it. You will see, right? And he said this in like a very low voice, broken voice. And he opened the heichal. There was like gold and beautiful stones, and he saw in the heichal a little tablet, beautiful tablet, and it's over there. There's a menorah, a beautiful menorah over there on the tablet, and it says on the top, Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. The otiyot and the letters on that tablet is Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's what he saw. So he says in very big. He was so happy that he didn't bow down to some idol. So he walked back, he bowed down, and they both left. So the Rav said, "You told me I'm going to find the secret." So he says, "You didn't tell me anything. What did I see?" Listen to this. These letters, the big ones that you saw, this is the name of the one that created the earth. Right? Meaning he's the creator. The sheik thought that nobody else knows. This is it, right? So therefore he says, he says to them that whenever a person comes to me and he wants to die, that I should pray for him, I go to this room after this whole ceremony, go to the tefillot, etc., and I daven for half an hour, and then the letters light up. And I see that the letters light up, I see he's going to live. If the letters are like dim, then I know that he's going to die. And I come in, I come in with fear. I daven over there, and then I open the shar, and this is what if they see the letters. She says that's the secret. So the Rav Moshe Galanti goes back to his house, and he starts crying rivers of tears. And he says, "Oy lanu miyon adin." Woe to us from the day of the din. If this Yishmaeli, right, this goy, that he just knew the name of Hashem, and he gave him so much kavod to the name of Hashem, he thought that this is something, it's like a secret. And he gave so much kavod for the name, and he was zocher to this Ruach HaKodesh. He says, we, the Jews, what are we supposed to say? Lanu says that for us, it should have been done much more. Much more we have to do. So he says, at least when we mention Hashem's name, we have to lilbosh charada. We should be, trembling. This is a very powerful message. That from the kavod that the sheikh was giving just to the name of Hashem, he got this Ruach HaKodesh. This is how important it is. So before we continue, just to, like when it comes to the tefillot, not to be mizalzel in the tefillot, to come dressed properly to the tefillot, a hat and jacket, not to talk in the shul. All this is kavod. And this is something that we don't have enough of. To give him the proper kavod. So this is the just before we continue. This is two examples of goyim showing kavod to Hashem, and Hashem gives them such reward. This is supposed to inspire a person how much kavod we have to have towards Hashem. When you mention Hashem's name, how we like I said, when we're learning His Torah, not to be mizalzel, not to act with. Sometimes you see people coming in with shorts to daven. We see, they come in sweats, because it's Sunday morning. Why not? It's like I'm on an off day. That's not proper, right? This is proper. We find that he brings down over here a story with the Bardichov. It says that Ravitz Bardichov. Shaya gzera nora'a. So there was some decree. V'Rabbeinu Bibardisha hir'ish olamot. He tried as much as he can to change the gzera. He was unable to. V'achar kach bishat ne'ilah. At the end of the ne'ilah of this prayer, they told him from Shamayim that the gzera went away. But not because of him, but because of a soldier. Because of a soldier. What's the story? So in the footnote they quote over here, the story goes that on one time the Rav Yisrael Mibartichev saw on Yom Kippur a great darkness of dinim kashim, and he was very worried. He was very upset about that. So at the time of the Ne'ilah, he saw a great light that everything is fine. The Gzera went away. He was trying to research what's the source, how did it happen that it went away, this Gezerah. So from the Shamayim they said that there was a minyan of soldiers, of Yehudim, that the Balat Tfilah was also one of these soldiers. He with his Tfilah was able to undo the Gezerah. But he was very far in the Medina, Russia, in Russia. So he decided, the Rav decided that next year he's going to come to this place. So then when he came, he tried to do as much as he can to daven with those soldiers. With great difficulty, he was able to daven with them the Ne'ilah, just the Ne'ilah at the end. So he saw Nigash Ish Echad, one person came to the Teva, one of the soldiers, and he was trying to inspire his Reyav. Ba'alei HaMilchama means the one that were in war with him, with Hitoru. He's trying to inspire them. And he said to them, Achai v'ra'ai, my brothers, Kol ha'olam she'ol u'muvakesh ke'et. The whole world is waiting for this time, for this Ne'ilah, for this prayer. This is the seal. Echad al Parnasah, one is worried about the Parnasah, one is worried about his wife and his household. We get our Parnasah from the army. Our household, we don't have children. So what are we davening for? In lanu ela bakasha achat. We only have one bakasha. Vihi yidgada v'yidgada shmei rabba. We want Hashem, we want His praise. We want your name to be publicized. We want your name to be known. There's such a chilul Hashem nowadays. I heard from Rav David Yosef, he was in New York. He said over from his father, he said one time he fell asleep, and I forgot the who told him this, but he says that why was Mashiach not come? That was the question that he was told. Why is Mashiach not here? So he says because there's 1 million boys that don't know Shema Yisrael. That's what he said. 1 million boys means that children, 1 million, they don't even know Shema Yisrael. Rav David Yosef himself had his own story that after the Gaza war, they gathered by the Kotel all the Yitomim, all the boys who became Bar Mitzvah, who lost their parents. So they organized something. What was that? Orphans, yeah. What did I say? Okay, fine. Whatever. Yeah, orphans. So by the kotel. So Rav David Yosef was there, and he said, Shema, Shema. So he said, repeat after me, Shema Yisrael. So they said, Shema Yisrael. And he thought he was going to, just say the first two words. And they look at him, and they're not saying that. He says, no. They didn't know. He said, this is understand how bad it is. So this is a Chil Hashem. So that's what we have to spread as much as we can, the Torah, in ourselves first, of course, in our community. We have to get that name out. We have to publicize Hashem's name. So this is the first thing that I wanted to to discuss. Now, a person should not think that he's not important. He quotes over here a midrash that in Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's time there was a drought, so they made a gzera. They made a gzera, fasting, and they davened for rain. The midrash says that there was a woman who just made a tanur. She made it like an oven. It was made out of clay. So if the rain would come, it would destroy her tanur. So she davened to Hashem, Hashem, please, not yet. My tanur is not dry yet. And that tefillah was accepted. And it says, so this is, the idea over here is that nobody should think lowly of himself. When it comes to Hashem, right, even the greatest Chacham, even the greatest Navi, at the end of the day, in comparison with Hashem, it's nothing. Even the greatest Chacham, the greatest Navi, even Moshe Rabbeinu, even the Avot, next to Hashem, they're nothing. And yet Hashem wants a relationship with us. So therefore, it doesn't really make a difference of how big it is, because next to infinity and next to perfection, which Hashem is complete perfection, there are no levels. Everything is nothing in comparison to Him. So therefore, if Hashem wants a relationship, He wants a relationship with everybody. Whether you're lowly or not, if you're a chacham, not a chacham, He wants everything. This is the idea behind the story of the Tanur. And this is what the Mislat Yesharim says over here when he discusses he talks about in Chassidut that one of the elements of a Chassid is that he's supposed to daven for the Churban Abayit. He says like this. Besides what the Chassid does with the Avodah, that means the concept of a Chassid is that he does the beyond, above and beyond of what a regular person is obligated to do. He wants to do more. He says, besides that, he always has to be in pain of the galut and the churban. Because he is sensitive to the disgrace kiviyachol of Hashem. The fact that nobody recognizes, I guess a large we would say a large portion doesn't recognize that Hashem is controlling everything. So he wants the Geulah, right? Why do we want Geulah? We want Geulah because we'll have world peace and we'll have a less of a parnasa. Then maybe we don't have to go to school because Mashiach is going to be here. It's very, very selfish. But the Chassid, he said that no, he wants the Geulah only for Hashem's sake. Only because I love Hashem so much, I want everybody to know about Hashem. I want everybody to recognize Him. That's how the Chassid views it. So he says, because it will bring kavod to Hashem. He's always davening for the Geulah of Yisrael. Now, why doesn't Hashem bring it faster, right? Because Hashem has the opposite. Hashem wants the opposite. We want Hashem's, right? Even if it's not going to be good for us, we want Mashiach to come for the kavod of Hashem. Hashem says that, no, I'm going to delay it. You know why I want to delay it? It's because if Mashiach comes, the sachar, the reward is not going to be the same anymore. So Hashem wants to delay it. So He's delaying His kavod. So people will get more mitzvot, more zichuyot, more learning, because now it's tough. The temptation is very, very severe. right? So Hashem's delaying it so he has the opposite reaction. He's doing for us, and we are doing for him. Meaning that Hashem, just bring it faster for your kavod. That's how the Chassid is in love with Hashem. V'im yomar adam, look what he says, and he continues, and he says, and if a person would say, Ma ani safun, he says that, who am I, she'itpalel ala galut v'Yerushalayim, who am I to daven for the galut and Yerushalayim? Amipnei tefilati yichanesu hagiluyot. What? Because of my tefillah, the giluyot are going to come together. V'tetzmiach ha'yeshua. What? The salvation is going to come. Me? Who am I? Leave it for like Yirmiyahu Navi, or Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Teshuvah b'tzido. He says the answer is right next to it. Lefikach nivra adam yichidi. That's why a person was born as an individual. He was created as an individual. So a person should say, Bishvili nivra olam. For me, the world was created. And it's already a nachat ruach in front of him that his children are asking. So even though we're right, we're very distant. The Midrash brings down that Rabbi, when he used to be eulogizing about the Khurban, he was dorish in 24 ways. 24 ways about what happened in the Khurban. After that, he stopped. Rav Yochanan, who was one generation later, right, he was able to be Doresh 60 things. So the Gemara is explaining that even though Rav Yochanan was just one generation, he managed to get through the quote unquote the pain in 60. By 60 he was already weak. The Rabbi was already weak by 24. He couldn't go on. It was so painful. It was so horrible. He couldn't go on. So if this is just one generation, what does it say about us, right? This is that we're so distant. We don't have those feelings. So it's true, but we have to do as much as we can. We do have to do our best to feel it, to do as much as we can to focus on it, at least to go through the motions of what Tisha B'Av. And that's what Hashem says. Ukvar nachat ruach hu lefanav. It already brings the nachat ruach, a pleasant smell in front of Hashem that His children are asking and they're davening for this. And even though Hashem is not going to answer the request because the time has not come or some other reason, they did their part. And Hashem is happy with this. So this is our part. So we have to daven Tishkom B'toch Yerushalayim and Tikabish Shofar Gadol, et Tzemach David Avdecha. We have to daven. We have to do our part. You're right. Hashem will decide if it's time or not time, but we have to do our part. I wanted to continue a little bit more with this idea. There's a famous Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Tan Rabbanan. This is talking about that after 40 years that Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to the Jews with the rebuke, right, which starts this Parashat, right, Parashat Devarim. It says like this: Mi yiten v'haya levavam ze lahem. He says, Hashem says that who would give? This is Moshe's words that Hashem told him at the Har Sinai. That means that Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking 40 years later about what happened when they were at the foot of the mountain of Har Sinai. And over there, the Jews said that Hashem, we saw you. We got the message. The first time, the first two dibrot that Hashem spoke, right? They died, right? And after that, they said, okay, the rest, Moshe, you can tell us. They were very afraid. They were very scared of Hashem. So they told Moshe, we're ready. We're afraid. You can tell us the rest. So Moshe Rabbeinu says it to Hashem, and Hashem says these words: Mi yiten v'haya levavam ze lahem. Who would give that their hearts would be like this to fear me all of their days? Who would give? That Hashem said, like, I wish they would be like this all the time, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu is criticizing them, and he says, "You're a kafui tova b'nei kafui tova." You Jews, right? He's speaking to the nation, and he says that you are ungrateful. B'shah shamar, when Hashem said these words, who would give? You should have said, you Hashem give. You Hashem, you give. I want to fear you. I want to be close to you. I want to have that fear. You give us. But you didn't. You didn't, because you didn't want to be indebted. We'll explain what that means. What's the lack of what does this mean? There's different explanations of what they did, but the Marshas, is the simplest way, is because they didn't appreciate that connection with Hashem. They didn't appreciate the fear of Hashem, so they didn't ask for it. And then the Gemara says something very interesting. The Gemara says that even Moshe Rabbeinu did not realize what Hashem said to him, Mi yiten, until 40 years later. It means that he only understood with those words, when Hashem was saying those words, who would give? That's what Hashem was saying. That's what he said. He wanted us to daven for it. And they didn't do that, so he criticized them. What's the obvious question? If Moshe, what?
You should also be praised.
Right, so if Moshe Rabbeinu just got like 5 minutes ago, and he says, "Ooh, now I have a perfect drasha, now I can say something to the people." It doesn't sound so good, right? So if he understood it only 40 years later, what criticism does he have against the Jews? So right, so the Tosfot asks this question. The Tosfot. So he says, he gives two answers over here. The first answer is, Shemoshe lo hikpid alechem al davar ze ad mem shana. He says that Moshe Rabbeinu was not makpid, was not upset until 40 years. Ze ad mem shana ki haya savur lebesof mem shana yamdu al dat konam. So he says that, of course Moshe knew what Hashem meant, but he didn't criticize them until 40 years, because they thought that after 40 years they'll get it. And then when he saw that 40 years is coming and it's not happening, now he criticizes them. So he says that, so I think maybe you could say that over here Moshe left it. Moshe left it for the Jews to do it themselves. I think it's possible to say because when a person gets that inspiration from himself, it's much more powerful than if the rabbi told you. Right? It comes from within. That prayer that comes from within to be close to Hashem. I want that. I appreciate it. You came to that appreciation on your own. It's much more powerful. Maybe you could say that's why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't tell them until then. But the Tosfot gives another answer. So he says like this. Tosfot he says like this. Moshe Rabbeinu did not need the tefillah because he had the fear. The Jews needed. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu realized only after 40 years. But for the Jews who needed tefillah, they should have realized much faster. So Moshe Rabbeinu did not realize 40 years because he didn't need it. But the Jews who needed this tefillah, why are they not thinking about it? Why is it not on their minds? So you see over here like two lessons. It says that the first lesson is that the rabbi, right? The rabbi can't figure it out, but the individual can figure it out because he needs it more. And then maybe you could say the same thing with the galut. He says that, right? We need Hashem to bring the Mashiach. We should be davening for it. Everybody hates us in the world, right? How difficult it is to learn Torah for us. So many temptations. How difficult it is. We have to daven for it. We need it more. We've grown very complacent. We've gotten very used to this, and we have to start thinking about it. Start davening for it. We find also that the individual is much powerful. The Gemara in Bava Metzia, this is also a famous Gemara. It says, I'm sure this is, no, it's not even, it's over here. No, I don't have the Bava Metzia here. Okay, I'll tell you that this is the famous, the Gemara says that, Alma avda aretz, meaning why did we lose the land? The Gemara quotes a pasuk that the Nevi'im were not able to answer. The Chachamim were not able to answer. And so the Gemara says, that the pasuk says that until Hashem himself came and told them that this is the reason. Why? Al ozvam et torati. They've abandoned my Torah. The Gemara says. And the Gemara says that they didn't say Birkat Torah. Right? And then the Ran says over there on this Gemara, the that the sin was very, very slight. They didn't appreciate the Torah. It was very, very slight. That's why they lost the land. So our Chachamim ask. The Navi was not able to answer. The Chacham was not able to explain. So what criticism do you have from the person, from the people? Right? You had that question, right? The Chachamim look at the generation. Everything looks good, right? The Nevi'im look at the generation. Everything looks good. I don't see a problem. Right? And Hashem says, "Alo zavame torati." You have abandoned my Torah. What do you mean? If they can't figure it out, what do you want? What do you expect from me? So over here you see something very, very powerful. He says that the individual can have the ability to figure out his own problems much better than the rabbi. That's why there's a tviyah, there's a claim against the person. Why are you not thinking? You're in the pit. Right, you're doing the avirot. How are you not thinking? And so therefore there's a tremendous claim against the person, against the people. You abandoned my Torah. Such a harsh language. It's very extreme, very difficult to understand. The Nevi'im are not able to figure it out. And the avirah is so great that Hashem says that, no, you forsook my Torah. And you can figure it out. You could have figured it out. That's how much the claim against the person. So the point over here that I wanted to come out with is that we have to understand that we ourselves have the ability to notice our problems, to fix our problems, and we have to daven for it. We are not. This Gemara is saying that had the Jews davened, the Maharsha explains, but everything is in the yad. The person, how can you daven for Yirat Shamayim? How can you daven for such a thing? It's in your hands. Hashem says, "Hakol b'dei Shamayim, chutz miyirat Shamayim." So the Maharsha says that it doesn't. You're right, it is, but it doesn't mean that Hashem cannot help you. So if a person reaches out to Hashem, it doesn't mean that He's not going to help you. Of course, He'll help you. So this is something that we are not doing enough. We're not davening enough to be close to Hashem. We're sort of doing it on our own. We need to daven to be close to Hashem, to make it easy Hashem, to concentrate in the Torah, have that savlanut, have that patience to learn Torah. Help me to enjoy the Torah. Why for me the Torah is boring? Why would I rather watch a basketball game instead of coming to learn Torah? Well, why is this hard for me? Why do I more excited for a barbecue than the Gemara? It bothers me. It bothers me that I don't have that enjoyment. It doesn't bother us that we cannot concentrate in the tefillot, that we get very distracted. It bothers me. Why am I not in love with Hashem? Why am I not full of simcha when I come to do mitzvot? Why am I so distant? Why is it so hard for me to keep away from the avirot, not to go after the mitzvot? A person's supposed to daven, he's supposed to cry out, he's supposed to be in pain. Just like the Jews, Hashem, I want Yirat Shamayim, I want it. Give it to me. I want to be close, I want to understand. I want to enjoy. We only like, even the Gemara that we do, we like, the easy stuff. Hashem, I want to know the hard parts. I want to enjoy the hard parts. The ones that are very confusing. That's the parts that I want to know. Right? None of us right? We don't, no, it should be easy. No, I want the hardest parts. How come I run away from learning Tosfot? No, it's too complicated. I can't get it. I want to learn everything. How come I can't concentrate? I want to concentrate. Hashem, bring me closer to you so I can concentrate in the tefillot. So I can't wait. I have that yearning towards you. I can't wait to daven. It's 1 o'clock. We didn't daven. What's taking so long? We have to daven in Chare like that. Right? We don't have those feelings. So we have to daven for this. Mi yitain, right? This is such a powerful, right? Mi yitain v'yal levavam zeh lahem. He said, who would give that their hearts would be to fear me all of their days? Hashem is saying, I wish, I want you. You got to daven for it. This is the message. Why didn't they daven for it? Very scary. They didn't appreciate it. And that's why the Gemara says that they're children of kafur tova. The ones who are to mean who? Who are they? They mean they don't appreciate because they're children of the one who didn't appreciate. And who is that? Adam Arishon. The Gemara says, where did he not appreciate? So he says that because when he sinned, he said that the wife that you gave me. The wife that I gave you? Oh, you don't appreciate her? You didn't like the fact that I gave you a wife? It was a few hours ago I gave you. You were so sad. I didn't find anybody. Where's my partner? After a few hours, he gets used to it. It's already in the pocket. They just did the chuppah. 3 hours later, she makes him angry. So he says, "No, I don't need you. Why did I marry you? It just caused me trouble." Right? This is how quick this is the teva. This is the nature of a person. He doesn't appreciate. So this is what we have to concentrate. A little bit of before, like if a person cannot bring himself to cry for the Qurban, I myself included in this, right? That should bother a person. How come I don't feel it? Ravadia, when he would just cry and cry and cry, he would hurt his eyes. Heard from Rav David Yosef. He would cry even though he had problems with his eyes. And his wife would come to Rav Avad and say, "Stop crying." So he says, how can I stop crying about the Qurban? Okay, I'm not on the level. But it bothers me that I'm not like this. Why not? The answer is because we have very little connection to Hashem. But Ovadia and the Tzaddikim, they were so close to, they were learning and they perfected their midot. And all they wanted is ruchniyut. We want steaks, right? They just wanted a little bit more learning, another davening, a little bit more concentration. Okay, when is it Arvit already? It's 10:03 already, no? When is he going to finish? That's us. That should bother a person. And when a person concentrates on that it bothers me. It's so difficult for me. Hashem, give it to me. Make it easier for me to connect to you. That's what we should be doing on Tisha B'Av. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen v'Amen.